This is the airstrike on Lusaka last Thursday, 10th of October 1978.
Terrorist bases in Zambia by units of the Rhodesian security forces. In the first of these attacks, early on Thursday morning, the 19th of October, Rhodesian Air Force aircraft attacked the FC camp 20 kilometers north of Lusaka. As the first aircraft were overhead that camp delivering their weapons, one of the bombers, whose call sign was Green Leader, radioed the Zambian air traffic control officer at Lusaka Airport Control Tower with news of the attack. What you're about to hear is that initial announcement, followed by the subsequent interchanges between the Zambian air traffic control officer and the Rhodesian airmen, who were, for the next half hour, virtually in control of Zambian airspace.
Lusaka Tower, this is Green Leader, how do you read? Tower, this is Green Leader. This is a message for the station commander at Vumba from the Rhodesian Air Force. We are attacking the terrorist base at Westlands Farm at this time. This attack is against Rhodesian dissidents and not against Zambia. Rhodesia has no quarrel, repeat, no quarrel with Zambia or her security forces. We therefore ask you not to intervene or oppose our attack. However, we are orbiting your airfield at this time and are under orders to shoot down any Zambian Air Force aircraft which does not comply with this request and attempts to take off. Did you copy all that?
That initial interchange was followed a few minutes later by the Zambian controller radioing for details of the Rhodesian aircraft's call sign. A few moments later, the Zambian controller asked the Rhodesian Air Force aircraft to change channels to a more usable frequency.
Lusaka, this is Green Leader, go ahead.
Green Leader, if it would inconvenience you, can you change frequency to 121 decimal 3? 121 decimal 3 for Lusaka Point, please.
Yeah, Roger D. 121 decimal 3. Okay, what position, please?
Shortly afterwards, the air traffic control pressures began building up. Two aircraft were on the ground at Lusaka wishing to take off, and an incoming Kenyan Airlines flight wanted landing clearance from the Zambian controller.
Go ahead.
Anyway, for my civilian operation.
Roger D. If you're hang file, I'll advise you shortly.
I have one to take off to the north, and if you have no objection, another one to take off to the south, civilian, you know.
I want you to... Yeah. Lusaka Tower, this is Green Lead. Roger, I request you hold them for another 10 minutes. Thank you.
By now, Green Leader was returning to Rhodesia and was rapidly getting out of radio range with Lusaka. So he handed over control to another Rhodesian Air Force aircraft in the area, whose call sign was Dolphin 3.
Lusaka, this is Green Lead.
Come again?
Roger, this is Green Leader. Would you now contact Dolphin 3? He'll be taking over my transmissions.
Dolphin 3, Dolphin 3, Lusaka.
Lusaka, this is Dolphin 3 here.
Dolphin 3, Lusaka.
Lusaka, this is Dolphin 3. I'm reading you loud and clear. This is just a message that you're to keep your air traffic on the ground for another 10 minutes. Did you copy over?
Dolphin 3, thank you. I have a civilian aircraft coming in from the north to land in about 1
And so, as positive Rhodesian control of Zambian airspace was maintained with the assistance of the Lusaka controller, the Kenya Airlines flight was allowed to land after a short delay, and all the Rhodesian military aircraft returned safely to base. A final footnote to the story was added by the Kenyan Airlines captain, who was never really quite sure why he was being delayed by the Zambian controller. Eventually he asked, "Who has priority here anyway?" And back came the reply from the Zambian controller, "Well, I think the Rhodesians do at this time."
Soldiers down on Zambian soil, their task to eliminate the enemy and destroy his bases and his equipment. These scenes show some of the damage our security forces did to the terrorist camp, 129 kilometers deep into Zambia. Terrorist barracks in ashes, the smoldering ruins of Moses Pinda's plans to send so-called freedom fighters into Rhodesia. Moses Pinda was the camp commandant. A terrorist machine gun nest silenced in the battle for the camp. The dead gunner's hand has been shot off. Not a pretty sight, unless you've seen the kind of things that terrorists do to innocent women and children, tribal elders, Red Cross workers. The terrorists' crimes are legion. A security force spokesman gives some of the details on the spot.
We're standing on the site of the communication centre, and at the time of the attack it was covered by this tent, and right down beneath me you can see a hole into a bunker, and there's a ladder that goes down. Underneath in this bunker you'll see where Moses Pinda operated. And out here is a fairly extensive trench network. Everything is around the trench clothing.
The inevitable propaganda supplied by the terrorist sponsors. This time it's nothing less than the program of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. A Russian peak cap complete with badge.
We recovered equipment from this point, and there's another entrance just down here, which if you just want to go and have a look at it, go down that side.
Moses Pinda's box, perhaps a gift from the Kremlin, but one which opened like Pandora's box for this terrorist leader. The complex had plenty of bunkers, but like the foxholes, they became graves for the very terrorists who dug them. A security force spokesman questions a woman terrorist captured in the operation.
What happened when you got to Botswana?
We went to Frankfurt town.
Yes, and what happened there?
We taken fingerprints.
Yes.
Then after that we went to Pico, where we stayed for 2 weeks.
And then?
After that we were taken to VC.
To
VC.
BC.
Yes.
BC Camp, Victory Camp,
Yes.
also known as Nampunda, isn't it?
No. The VC.
Just known as Victory Camp.
Yes.
And this is where? It's just outside of Lusaka?
Yes.
On the south side of Lusaka?
Yes.
Right. It's not FC Camp, is it?
Yes. It's a VC camp.
VC
camp. Yes.
Make the point that Victory Camp as opposed to FC Camp, which is Westlands Farm. Right, and then?
And after that, when we reached that place we betrayed, they said to us, in the south. And after that, we came back. After we've been beaten, we punished. And after that, they took us to the training center, this one, Kush. After we stayed 3 months.
All right. Thank you. What were you doing before you left Bulawayo?
I was at school doing Form 2.
The following scenes of terrorist bodies strewn all over the camp are gruesome, and again we advise those to whom the ugly face of war is unfamiliar and frightening not to watch. Horror such as this was necessary only because of the horror perpetrated in Rhodesia by the terrorists. Adolf Hitler had to be met by force, and so must the communist menace against Rhodesia. When our enemies are bent on our destruction, we have no alternative but to destroy them. Better to seek out the enemy and kill him, rather than allow an entire nation that longs for peace to fall under the communist boot.
Is a recording of the rocket attack on Umtali on the Sunday evening during October. Just heard the bombardment. You have just heard the bombardment of Umtali on the 15th of October 1978 between 10:25 p.m. and 11 p.m. What you've just heard was only the first 11 minutes. Well, Morambi, which is on the northern suburb of Umtali and is directly under the Umtali heights from which the attack took place. This is now followed by another recording taken from Greenside, which is to the east, southeast, should we say, of town, and shows the other effects from the second post that the Terrs were using. Sorry, I just want to get my mind. Yes, it's fine. It's more There's still bright lights coming from.
Really? We were sitting in Sam's bedroom watching the flashes until one of them, that sounds at the bottom of the juice that's close enough for me. You mean they let them get up there again? Exactly the same place. In fact, looking at the flashes, if it wasn't for the bangs, you wouldn't know whether they were doing Vumba or us.
That's 3 in a row coming, eh?
Is it?
Yeah.
The flashes are
Yeah. Right one.
Yeah, I've heard it, right?
Isn't it from London? Clean up that road so
I want to see it tomorrow.
And they're just saying the wires and stepped up.
That's right. Future's prediction.
Tomorrow is the 16th. What's there?
Young mum, Richard.
She's okay. She's in the passage. I said, to God's sake, stay there, don't go out, see what's happening. And, oh, sorry, Sal, it was your tale I had to tell. And I'll go up and, oh, sorry.
Next time you have
Yeah, that's nice. That's awesome. Definitely nice. It's definitely nice.
Well, then they landed really short.
That's the fire.
That's the fun.
That's as it goes on.
They obviously have to work out the range first. Now, it's taking them 15 minutes to get. And they're obviously not doing it quite on the spot, so they're just moving
Stand up, look, let me show you where it's done.
What they've been to short.
No, Mum wanted to look for good. No, because of the fire.